Imagine this. You're dragging yourself through the day, exhausted, even though you got a full 8 hours of sleep. Your mood is all over the place. One minute you're snapping at your kids, the next you're on the verge of tears and you have no idea why. No matter how much coffee you drink, you just can't shake the brain fog. Every time you look in the mirror, it feels like your body is betraying you. Stubborn weight gain, thinning hair, and to top it off, you've been catching every cold and flu that comes around. Maybe you don't have to imagine this because it's your reality. Well, these are just some of the signs that you might be suffering from low vitamin D. But wait, isn't vitamin D just for bones? Think again. This so-called vitamin is actually a powerful hormone, and when your levels are low, it can wreak havoc on your body. And here's the surprising part. Most women are walking around with dangerously low vitamin D levels without even realizing it. Why? Because we've traded sunshine for screen time, and even when we step outside, we slather on sunscreen, blocking the very UV rays we need to make this essential hormone. Plus, if you think you can get enough from food, think again. Food sources of vitamin D are like drops in the ocean, nowhere near what we need to thrive. But here's where things get even more interesting. Vitamin D isn't just a vitamin, it's actually a hormone. And the fact that so many of us are unknowingly deficient is a much bigger issue than we realize. Today, we're diving into why vitamin D is actually a hormone and not a vitamin, why so many of us are deficient without even knowing it, and how it impacts everything from your immune system to your hormones, mood, and yes, even weight management. And stick around because I've got an unbelievable story about how something as simple as vitamin D saved a woman from surgery. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Renee, a double board certified doctor in both OBGYN and functional medicine, who's been working with women both in the online space and in person for over 20 years. What is it that I do? I help women balance their hormones naturally and rewire their brain for better health. But enough about me. Let's learn more about why vitamin D is so important. So first things first, vitamin D isn't actually a vitamin. It's a hormone. When sunlight hits your skin, your body starts producing vitamin D, which then acts like a hormone to regulate various functions in your body. It's like the body's little multitasker, influencing your mood, immune system, hormones, and even your metabolism. But here's the thing, most of us aren't getting enough. With our modern lifestyle, we spend most of our time indoors. And even when we do go out, we're slathering on sunscreen for good reason. The problem is that sunscreen blocks the UV rays we need to make vitamin D. Plus, food sources of vitamin D are pretty limited. About 1 billion people worldwide are estimated to be deficient in vitamin D. Crazy, right? We think we're fine because we drink fortified milk or we take a walk outside. But the truth is, we're likely not getting enough. Factors like your age, skin tone, and even where you live affect how much vitamin D you're able to make from the sun. And food, well, good luck with that. There are some sources like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified foods, but honestly, it's tough to get the amount your body really needs just from food. Before we talk about the impact of low vitamin D levels, I just want to take a second to thank all of you smart women out there who have already subscribed to this channel because you're tired of feeling like crap and you want to feel better. And if that's you, but you've not subscribed yet, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. You're going to miss out on some really eye-opening health content that I have coming out. So if you want to stay in the know, smash that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon so you can stay up to date. And if you've enjoyed this video so far, please give it a little love by hitting the thumbs up. That shows me you enjoy this type of content, so I'll be sure to make more of it for you in the future. Okay, so now let's talk about what happens when your vitamin D levels are low. Now, most of us know that vitamin D helps with bone health. But let's talk about what happens when your vitamin D is low. First off, your immune system takes a hit. If you find yourself getting sick a lot, it could be because your vitamin D is low. Then there's your mood. Low vitamin D is linked to depression and anxiety. Think of it like this. Vitamin D is like the sunshine hormone, and when it's low, you start feeling that emotional cloud. And listen up. Hormone regulation is one of the most important roles vitamin D plays. It helps balance key hormones like estrogen and testosterone. Low vitamin D can lead to irregular menstrual cycles, fertility issues, and hormone-related mood swings. So if you've been struggling with any of these, vitamin D might be a key player you didn't even know about. Oh, and then there's weight management. This is huge. If your vitamin D is low, it can slow your metabolism, making it harder for you to lose weight and can even cause weight gain. But that's not all. Vitamin D also impacts leptin, the hormone that signals to your brain when you're full. When your vitamin D is low, your leptin levels can get out of sync, making it easier to overeat and harder to manage your weight. I know, mind-blowing, right? Okay, story time. I want to tell you about someone I know. She was a horse farmer in her mid-40s. This woman was super active, always outside, and you'd think she'd be the last person to be vitamin D deficient, right? Wrong. One winter, she noticed she was getting sick more often. She was exhausted all the time and had an enlarged lymph node in her neck. Naturally, her doctor was concerned and sent her to a surgeon for a biopsy. Now, you can imagine the stress and anxiety she went through thinking, is this cancer? But before she saw the surgeon for the biopsy, her doctor decided to run some blood tests. And guess what? Her vitamin D level was a shockingly low 13. The doc put her on a high-dose vitamin D supplementation regimen, and within a couple of weeks, she felt better, had more energy, wasn't getting sick, and the lymph node even went back to normal. No surgery was needed. Something as simple as vitamin D saved her from a potentially unnecessary and invasive procedure. So how do you know if you're low on vitamin D? Some of the most common symptoms that I see are number one, constant fatigue, even when you've had enough sleep. Two, getting sick all the time. Muscle weakness or pain. Mood swings or just feeling down. Difficulty losing weight. Hormonal imbalances like irregular periods or fertility issues. If any of these sound like you, it's worth looking into getting your vitamin D levels checked. But what if your levels of vitamin D are fine, but you're still struggling with losing weight, feeling constantly tired, moody, or like you just don't feel like yourself anymore? And yet every time you go to your doctor, they tell you everything is normal. I get it. I've been there myself. And I know how frustrating it can be when you know deep down that something just isn't right. That's why I'm offering a limited number of strategy calls where we can take a deep dive into your symptoms and uncover what's really going on. Whether it's due to vitamin D, hormone imbalances, or something else entirely, I'll help you figure it out. We'll also see if working together is the right fit for both of us. The link to book a call is in the description below. Do not wait until the new year. Let's get you on the road to recovery now so you can feel like the best version of yourself again. I cannot wait to chat with you. Now, if you think your vitamin D might be low, what's the next step? Testing, of course. You want to ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test. That's the best way to check your levels. Ideally, you want to aim for optimal levels between 50 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. Now, let me explain why these levels. When it comes to vitamin D, the cutoff for deficiency is typically set around 30 nanograms per milliliter in conventional medicine. But here's the thing, just barely hitting 30 might prevent a full-blown deficiency, but it's not enough to thrive. In functional medicine, we aim for optimal levels, which fall between 50 and 80 nanograms per milliliter, because that's where you're likely to feel your best and experience the full benefits of vitamin D. So why is this range important? At 30, your body might be avoiding the worst of the symptoms, but you're still not operating at peak health. Vitamin D plays a key role in your immune system, hormone regulation, mood, and even your weight management. When levels are in the optimal range, everything from your energy levels to inflammation and metabolism improves. Think of it like this. You wouldn't settle for just a half a tank of gas when you have a long road trip ahead, right? You want your vitamin D levels fully topped off to support your body in the best way possible, especially when it comes to preventing long-term issues like hormone imbalances, immune dysfunction, and chronic inflammation. Now, about supplementation, this is key because while getting outside is great, you may not be able to get enough vitamin D from the sun, especially in the winter. Most people will need to supplement. I want you to look for vitamin D3 because it's the most bioavailable form, meaning your body absorbs and uses it better. And for a lot of people, adding vitamin K2 is helpful also. It makes sure that calcium goes to your bones where it's needed and not to your arteries. Okay, so how much sunlight do you actually need to get enough vitamin D? The truth is, it varies. For lighter skin tones, about 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun exposure a few times a week without sunscreen may be enough. But for darker skin tones, it can take up to 2 hours to produce the same amount of vitamin D. And again, if you're wearing sunscreen, you're blocking the UV rays you need to make it. That's why supplementation is often necessary. I remember a patient. She was a mom to a young child who spent plenty of time outside during play dates with another mom every single day during the summer. She was also taking vitamin D supplementation. So imagine my surprise when her vitamin D levels came back a little over 100. Luckily, no harm done, but after some detective work, we figured out that her sun exposure alone was actually enough to keep her levels up over the summer. I had her pause the supplements until the season changed to avoid overdoing it. It was a perfect example of how if you're getting adequate sun exposure without sunscreen, you may not need the extra boost from supplements during certain times of the year. On the flip side, I've also seen how easy it can be to overdo it with supplements, especially liquid vitamin D. I had another patient whose vitamin D levels were also over 100, but she'd been using a liquid supplement. When I asked how she was dosing, she explained that she would simply put what she thought were 3 drops directly into her mouth. This got me thinking, could she be unknowingly using too many drops? I tested this theory at home by giving my daughter 3 drops of liquid vitamin D. And when I asked her how many drops she had thought I'd given her, she confidently said 1. And I did the same with my son, and he agreed. It's a small study, I know, but it highlighted how easy it is to misjudge dosing when using liquid supplements directly from the dropper into your mouth. The takeaway? Be cautious when you're getting a lot of sun exposure without sunscreen. And if you're using liquid vitamin D, I recommend measuring it out on a spoon to make sure you're getting the correct dose. A few extra drops now and then won't hurt, but if it happens daily, those extra drops can really add up. Now, one thing I see often is that many conventional docs prescribe a short-term high dose of vitamin D for a few weeks if your levels are low, which can bring up your levels temporarily. But here's the problem. After the supplementation stops, your levels can plummet again if the underlying issue, like lack of sun exposure or consistent use of sunscreen, isn't addressed. That's why I always recommend long-term supplementation, especially if your behaviors or lifestyle don't change. If your levels are low and you're not spending time in the sun, or if you're using sunscreen every time you go outside, supplementation is going to be key to maintaining healthy levels. And before you ask, I'm not going to give a blanket dosage recommendation here, because when it comes to vitamin D, there are a few important variables I consider when deciding the right dose for each individual. My general advice is to start low and go slow. That's my motto with most supplements, even with something like vitamin D. Everyone's body responds differently, and it's crucial to tailor your approach based on your specific needs and lifestyle. All right, now that you know how critical vitamin D is, not just for your bones, but for your immune system, hormones, mood, and weight, take a moment to think. When's the last time you had your vitamin D level checked? If it's been a while, talk to your doctor and get it tested. And if you want to start supplementing, remember, D3 is the way to go. And if you enjoyed this video, check out this one that YouTube picked just for you. And with that, we'll see you right back here next week. Ciao.